Hello everyone, Uzo here. I'm sure you've all seen the developer interview with Ian that seems to indicate that there's going to be a lot more focus placed on Battlegrounds and in particular Battleground Blitz. It's going to be going officially rated in the War Within. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time to talk about my thoughts on Battleground Blitz after spending all of my time in Season 3 just devoted to playing Blitz. In this video, I'm going to be talking about four main things. First off, a Battleground Blitz tier list, but notice that tier list is in quotation marks, so this might not be what you expect. And then thoughts on gear scaling, because there was a post about gear scaling on the forums, and some of the replies there and responses motivated me to make this video. Next will be win rates, RNG, and U. And then finally, the three types of matches that you can typically expect to run across playing Battleground Blitz, and that ties in directly to your win rates. First up, my tier list. Now, this was a joke, and I posted it, and whoa boy, there was a ton of backlash on this from people from Rated Arena and Rated BGs because apparently they treat tier lists as if they're sacred cows and they're not to be joked about. So my tier list for Battleground Blitz is S tier, people with map awareness that understand the win conditions, and then underneath that, everybody else. Now this was a joke, but there's actually a lot of truth to this. Now I want to say that this is not to say that specs don't matter, but in my opinion, specs are not going to matter unless you're up towards the very top of the ladder. Anywhere below that, it's going to be map awareness and win conditions that are going to be more important. And that will be good enough to get you out of low MMR matches. It should be good enough to get you into mid MMR matches. And it might be good enough to get you into upper mid to lower upper MMR matches. In other words, you should be able to do well in Battleground Blitz, provided that you have map awareness and you understand the win conditions, because that's something that you're going to come into the Battleground Blitz with regardless of what spec you're on. So you don't necessarily need to be a master of your spec in order to do well in Battleground Blitz. So again, that's my opinion, but I have to have some justification for my opinion, right? And here is that justification. I spent a ton of time playing Battleground Blitz in Season 3. I have all 13 classes at level 70 and they are all geared, and I played them all a considerable amount in Battleground Blitz. And one of the goals that I had was to actually get all 13 classes to a point where they were playing in matches that were over 2k MMR. And I was able to do that. Now, I fully understand that this was a test phase for Battleground Blitz in Season 3, and things will be much more challenging when it goes official rated in the War Within. But I think it gives me a basis for my opinions. Okay, so there was a post about gear scaling in the forums, and of course, I am all for gear scaling, up to a point where it's maybe slightly worse than World PvP and the Blue Honor level gear. The reason why is because I don't think in rated Battleground Blitz you should have people, just for example, with 1 million health fighting people with 500k health. I think that's a bad thing. It sucks when you have to fight them because it doesn't feel meaningful, and it very much sucks when those undergeared people are on your team and you have very little chance of winning. And there were people that thought that gear scaling shouldn't be a part of Battleground Blitz, and that actually there should be undergeared people in that format, right? And as typically happens with such arguments, I'm told that my argument is bad because I'm bad. You know, this happens all the time. So let's read what this response was to me. Okay, first off, they called me arrogant, which I took high offense to because I am one of the least arrogant people that you're ever going to run across in your entire life. In fact, I would say that I'm very, very arrogant about my lack of arrogance. Okay, now, that was a joke, guys. He says, if your argument is that there is a lack of player agency in determining outcome to where you as a good player cannot carry a team of bad players, then maybe you aren't as good as you think you are, and the rating you're at is exactly where you belong. And here is my reply to that. Okay, I'll play this game. It is actually arrogant to believe that a single good player can carry a team of bad players to victory consistently in Blitz. I have played all 13 classes in Blitz into matches at the 2K to 2.2K rated range. However, some of them only have a 55% win rate and some have over a 75% win rate. This is going to motivate the discussion later in the video. How does that happen? That happens because the characters with the high win percentage got lucky and were not placed on as many bad teams as the players with lower win rates. In Blitz, you will get matches that you can't win because your team is that mismatched. Why in the hell would I want to add gear disparity to that? Does that sound like an arrogant position to you? This is my Shadow Priest. My Shadow Priest is probably the class that I did the worst on in terms of win percentage. So you can see here in the upper right, it tells you how many matches I played, how many I won. I played 62 matches on the Shadow Priest and I only won 34 of those. That is around a 55% win percentage. And I'll tell you that my Shadow Priest had the roughest start out of any of my classes. I think I lost my first 4 or 5 blitzes and it just put me in this MMR hole that was kind of hard to climb out of. So I eventually did climb out of it and I was able to get into, over 2K rated matches eventually. But I had to play a lot of matches in order to do that. Here is my Enhancement Shaman, and this is at the end of a win in Eye of the Storm Blitz in a 21-26 rated match. And in the upper right here underneath the mini-map, you can see that on the Enhancement Shaman, I played 44 blitzes and I won 33 of those. That is a 75% win rate. And Enhancement Shaman isn't necessarily known as being a battleground powerhouse. That ties directly back into what I started with, which is the tier list. Map awareness and understanding win conditions can help a spec that's relatively weak still do well in Battleground Blitz. So I think that the 75% win rate that you see on the Enhancement Shaman is pretty good for solo queue, but that's not my highest win percentage. My highest win percentage is right at 85% with the Ret Paladin. In the upper right underneath the minimap, you can see that my Ret Paladin played 26 matches and won 22 of those. Now, Ret Paladin is a class that I play, or I should say a spec, that I play very rarely. I really don't play it that much, so it's not like I'm super good at Ret Paladin. What happened here is that my Ret Paladin got lucky and did not get placed on many bad teams. It didn't get placed on many teams where no matter what I did, it was going to be a loss. So that luck actually turned out to be a bit of a punishment because since I had such a high win percentage, I went up in MMR so quickly, there weren't many people there, and I ended up having queues that were over an hour long. In fact, I have a screenshot somewhere where my Paladin is sitting in a queue that's over 2 hours. I'll try to put it in this video if I can find it. And that brings us to the last part of this video, which is about the 3 types of matches that you can typically expect to run across in Battleground Blitz, which I've already kind of referenced a bit already in the video. You have those matches where your team is severely mismatched. I can use this word bad, we'd say bad relative to the other team, where pretty much no matter what you do, it's going to be a loss. Now, you actually can win some of these matches if you play the objectives better than the other team, but that is rare. It's possible, but rare. Then you have the matches where your team is so much better than the other team, no matter how bad you play, it's going to be a win for you. And then the ones in the middle, right? These are the important ones. The ones where they're evenly enough matched where they could go either way. And this is where your play is going to matter the most, right? If you play well in those matches, you can take matches which are maybe 50-50 and put them 60-40 in your favor, or maybe even 70-30 in your favor. So if you have a combination of not getting on many of those bad teams, and then also getting on these teams that are going to win easily, but also these evenly matched teams where you can make a difference, you're going to end up with pretty good win percentage. So let's wrap this up. Again, qualifier here. These are all my opinions. I think my opinions are based in, my gameplay, what I experienced while I was playing Blitz. So I think my opinions are right, as most people will think their opinions are. But I'll leave it up to you to make that judgment. I tried to give kind of a realistic, grounded viewpoint of what I think about Blitz here. And I do think that luck plays a major part in how you're going to do in Blitz. It's unfortunate. One way to kind of bypass that is just to throw a ton of characters into it. Like I said, I ran 13 characters into this, so some of them were bound to be unlucky. Some of them were bound to be lucky. My paladin turned out to be the luckiest of them all. Okay, so that is it for this one. Take care, everybody. Oh, I'm back again. Sorry. So after listening to that last part, I don't want to give the impression that it's all about luck. How good you are is going to make a difference in those evenly matched teams. That is where you can have a big impact on the outcome of those matches. So luck is a part of it, and it's kind of a big part of it, but in those evenly matched teams, how good you are is really going to make a difference in how you progress in MMR. Okay, so that is it this time for real. Take care, everybody.